Good evening, everyone. EagleX from ATX EagleX Gaming here today, and I have a different type of video I want to try taking, and this is my GenCon meta-analysis and predictions for these decks you need to be prepared for if you're participating in this event. If you guys enjoy this content, it would really mean a lot to me if you could like, comment, and subscribe to these videos. If you guys didn't know, roughly half of you, or not even half of you, are subscribed to this channel. I'd really appreciate the support if I can see more of that in the subscription count. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the video. So first, if you guys don't know, if you're participating in GenCon, what are you expecting for prizing? The participation is actually really solid, and that's a big reason why it is a little costly to get into the event. But you get the Playmat, you get the Lightning Joust playset, you get the promo Galomon playset, and you get a set of sleeves. I didn't get an image for those because I couldn't find any. But then when you hit the thresholds of top 64, you get the Alt-Art Galomon, top 32, the starter deck Wargreymon, and then top 8 get the EX2 Galomon. And I'll tell you guys, this is more than likely going to have a nice texture on top of the foil, and it will look really good. I saw the Old Force one from last year's Grand Prix event, and it looked amazing. Now let's go ahead and get on to what I'm expecting for the analysis. So there really shouldn't be any surprise. BT9 is the X-Antibody set, and the face of the boxes, and a lot of what people are excited for is the Alphamon Ouryuken deck. For guys who are not aware, this is a either very control or very OTK oriented deck. The main cards that assist this deck is the whole new Dex line, but the Ouryuken from BT8 is super powerful as it gives a restand to a Digimon with Alphamon in its name. This includes the Ouryuken mode or any of the level 6 Alphamons. When Digivolving into Ouryuken mode, if you have an Alphamon and Ouryuken in your source, you can go for 3, and then you pop the highest play cost Digimon, and then at the end of your turn, you return up to 7 cards from your sources with X-Ante, excluding the egg, to gain a memory for each source. So if you are preparing your deck and you're trying to figure out how to answer this matchup, one thing you want to be aware of is memory blocking is super strong. All the Dex lines and the level 7 here will be gaining memory through effects. That also includes the memory boost that are a 4 of in every build. So that is one way to be prepared for these decks. But the whole end of turn effect is super powerful. So if you do Evo 4/7 instead of the 3, you can more than likely keep turn with the level 7. But the joke is you get an extra turn with all the extra memory you get from the end of turn effect. But Alphamon is definitely a deck I would be prepared for and play testing against. And I would expect to see roughly 2 to 3 of these decks if you're going on an undefeated streak in a 9-round tourney. The next set of decks, I'm kind of bunching them together because they play very similar, but control decks. Security Control, Beelstar, and Hybrid Control is what I'm dubbing it now, because you have some red-yellow packages with Sunrise Buster that go into either Wargreymon or SecCon. You got Beelstar, the 3 Musketeer deck. For every option in trash that has a 7 cost or 3 Musketeer, you reduce her play cost by 1. So spamming her on board to wipe boards with strong security, and to spam large boards with Nailbone to try to seek a lethal. And then Security Control, the most control-heavy deck, where it aims to play a grindy tempo game as you have very potent security. So if you're playing against these decks, you want to be prepared. A delicate plan is going to be very common for a lot of decks. It's not hard to splash into some decks as you have some dual tamers that are partially red, or you run the hero tamer as it is generic and gives your level 5s plus 2k. I would expect to see 2 control style decks, whether it's Security Control, Beelstar, or what remains of Yellow Hybrid. The next thing I would really expect to see, and these decks I say play very similar, Magnamon X-Antibody and Imperialdramon. The whole gimmick is you're going to be doing multiple swings with protected stacks. Garuru has pseudo jamming with the X-Antibody level 4 inheritable. Imperialdramon does have jamming with the XV. The Jagras and the X-Antibody level 5 both bounce something or bot deck something. But the key cards you want to be aware of in these matchups are the Wargreymon promo. When attacking once per turn, if you have Garuru in your source, unsuspend this Digimon. With the Garuru X-Antibody, you will have protection if you crash into something in security, so there is no fear at swinging there. And in addition to that, it has security attack +1 if you have 8 or more cards in hand. With the promo Garuru, that is not limited to once per turn, you will be able to draw a lot with this card. And then you can evo into the X-Antibody for a free restand, draw, and 2 checks. Like, that's just the whole deck, though. You're doing swings and restands similar with Imperial. With the Davis Ken Tamer, you can restand. When you evo to a dual color, you can Jagras for free. You're going to be getting lots of pretty safe swings into your opponent's stack. So if you're trying to prepare for these decks, have an answer to an out of raising OTK. So if this is like a Sekuyamon, if this is a security bomb, or if you think you can outpace it, that is another great answer to these decks. So definitely be prepared for them. Now, a deck that a lot of people were really hyped for at the start of this set, and it's kind of fallen off, is Green OTK or Grandiskuwagamon. This deck thrives off a Grandiskuwaga promo, giving security attack +1 for digibursting 2 sources away. So if you do that twice, you evo into the Grandis for 1, you can swing security, restand, swing again, and then ideally hybrid or double Mimi for lethal. It's very common for these decks to tech a delicate plan with hero. You definitely need to high roll a bit more for this deck to be efficient. But things to be aware of, you will be suspending blockers if you're playing Grandis. So be prepared for your blockers probably not to be able to block an attack here. Magnamon X-Antibody does do a great job with this, as it just redirects the attack to itself. But make sure you have a way to prevent, again, another OTK from raising stack, as this deck will protect its stack at all cost in raising. But with that being said, it is a very... you either win or lose. You brick or you sink or swim. You have what you need or you're missing one piece, it feels, every time I play this deck. Moving on to our next deck, and I have 2 decks here. I think they're good decks. These last 2 slides, I think Wargrey is a solid deck. I think Gaiamon's an okay deck. With hybrids getting hit, I think Gaiamon does die. And Wargrey, I'm not seeing a whole lot here, especially like tournament results. I think it is a solid deck. I wouldn't be overly preparing for these decks, but I at least would like to know what these matchups are if I were playing myself. But Wargrey is an OTK deck. You build up with your starter deck Greymon, with your tie, with your Wargreymon +1 check, and then Blitz Omni for game. You do have combos where you can work with the X-Antibody option to get extra checks from the level 5 X-Antibody, or you could even go into the level 7 X Omnimon X. And then Black or Gray Gaiamon. If we had a lot more tamers in format, it would be a more relevant deck. I just don't think this deck is going to be something I would be overly prepared for or expecting in my run. If anything, it'd be an early round deck. And then finally, Magnamon X-Antibody. This is armor style deck. It is a fan favorite line with the V-Mons. This deck is really cool. The Magnamon X-Antibody is a way to prolong the game, but you are playing typically a more aggressive deck. So you kind of have 2 mechanics jiving against each other, of trying to aggressively swing but stall out the game too. It is a great top-in for this deck, and it can evo over Magnamon for 4. And just be aware, if you are swinging with piercing and you attack into a Magnamon X-Antibody or a Magnamon, you will not get the piercing check, as they will more than likely use the deletion effect or the armor purge effect to keep the stack alive, and it was never deleted, similar to Machinedramon preventing deletion. And one thing people are going to make a comment about, I'll just talk about real quick. D-Reaper did win the last major we had. I'm not expecting it in my normal run. It might do well, and you'll see maybe one squeak in top 16 again, but I wouldn't be overly worried about seeing that many. Well, guys, so that being said, that's all I have prepared. If you guys enjoy this content, please let me know in the comments below. And if you guys are still paying attention, go ahead and drop your comment on what you think is going to win in these Gen Con events. The most win representation, and whoever gets it right, I will go ahead and do a raffle to send some packs your way. With that being said, take care, y'all, and have a nice night.